Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Habits. I'm your host, Ron Varigan, and the purpose of this podcast is to help you live more mindfully. Now, I believe that the point of mindfulness is not just about building a strong meditation habit, but it's also about establishing a series of mindful habits that enables us to respond mindfully to what's happening in the world around us and intentionally move us toward our goals. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about habit stacking. Now let's begin by taking a mindfulness moment. I'd like to invite you to take a few deep breaths. Shift your attention from whatever you're doing prior to this and give yourself this gift of this moment of calm. Relax your shoulders and unclench your jaw and notice your breath, following it in and out. And do your best to release whatever stress that you might be holding. Tune into your heart and take a moment to be grateful during these challenging times and become fully present. Welcome back. In this episode of the Mindful Habits podcast, I'm going to be sharing a habit building concept called habit stacking. But before we jump in, I want to talk about my habit tracking app. I've just released some additional features, and this is about streaks. Now the app now actually tracks your streaks for your weekly and your daily habits, both private and public. So there's an inbox now on the Today screen that you can tap, and you can see all your milestones. And you'll also be able to see it on the circle for your public habits. You can see it on the recent activity screen. And this is where it allows people to send kudos for the habits that you've labeled as public as you make certain milestones as you're going along. Now, if you haven't downloaded the app, I try to keep three things in mind when I was building this app, and simplicity. It's really simple to track habits. There's a community aspect that where we can share and support each other, but most importantly, results of helping you make the changes, the positive changes that you want within your life. The app is available on iOS, Android, and the web. If you're interested in checking out the app, visit thehabitlab.co. That's thehabitlab.co to learn more. Habit stacking. I'm really excited about this particular topic. So have you ever made a change in one area of your life only to find that this one upgrade cascades into other areas of your life? Well, a few summers ago, we renovated our kitchen. Now, this one change cascaded into multiple changes, right? So we ended up updating the main floor bathroom, new furniture in the adjoining family room, new blinds, new curtains all around. We even gutted the ensuite bathroom, which is on a completely different floor. So this one change, we decided we're going to make this one change, renovate our kitchen, and it cascaded to all these other areas. Now, habit stacking is the process of creating a cascade of positive habits. So just like the home reno spilling over to other areas of the house, you change one habit and build upon that success with additional positive habits. And it's your habit stack that enables you to move from like a handful of random habits to completely transforming your life and installing 100 positive habits. So the habit stack. Now it's centered around your keystone habit. Now we've covered the keystone habit in a couple other episodes, but just as a quick recap, your keystone habit is your ultimate self-care habit, right? It's the one that you do every day, no matter what. Like it's really just kind of dialed in. It's ultimate self-care. You're very motivated to do it because it reduces stress, keeps you focused, manages your anxiety, whatever that might be. Common keystone habits are sleep, meditation, and exercise are some of the three most common keystone habits. Habit stacking, there's two main habit stacks. It's your morning and your evening routines, right? So there's the stack of habits, the cascade that you do in the morning, and the stack of habits that you do before you go to bed. Now, these are the two most common because we have the most control over our mornings and our evenings. It's difficult to have a habit stack in the middle of the day. Now, it is possible to have pockets, but sometimes they're random at times and they can be very easily disrupted. It is possible, but I definitely recommend starting out focusing on your morning and your evening routines. So it's best to start building kind of your habit stacks during these times. Now, my habit stack, so let's kind of review my morning routine. So I wake up around 5 a.m. every day. So that's kind of habit number, the first habit in there. And that's after about 7+ hours of sleep, right? So there's another habit. I meditate for about 20 minutes, right? This is my keystone habit. So it's all centered around, this is the one I do every day, no matter what. I haven't missed a day. I'm over on a 2,000 and something now, 2,100 day streak, I think it is. I then measure my Bolt score, which has to do with holding my breath, kind of the breath strengthening technique. I do my morning stretches right after that. If it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do my strength workout. So I go and have my exercise ritual. I drink a glass of water. I then grab my first cup of coffee. Right. The coffee is not necessarily a positive habit, but what it is it's a peak performance ritual. I only have a few cups of coffee each day, and it's kind of another way of anchors. Okay, I'm now transitioning into my passion project. So I open up my journal right after I make a cup of coffee, come downstairs, I review my weekly priorities, and identify my one activity for the day. And this is usually in the area of my passion project. And I spend 1 hour at a minimum working on my passion project. And this one's really about enabling a flow state. This is the time that I write. This is how I coded my habit app. I've been doing this. Basically, I started the habit app basically just at the start of the COVID piece, and started releasing, making changes. But this is the time that I created my the habit app. So I spend 1 hour doing that. Stop around 8 a.m. Kind of trigger. Jump in the shower. Eat breakfast. There's about a dozen or so habits that I kind of do within that hour. About brushing, flossing, take my meds, and things along those lines. I then grab my second cup of coffee, and then I go downstairs. This is the time. It's about 9 a.m. now. This is the time where I check email. If you notice, I have not checked my technology. At least distracting technology until this time. So I really kind of protect this time in the day. I then roll into whatever my second priority for the day, I kind of roll into that. In that habit stack, I've been running fairly consistently now for a number of years, and it's really, really kind of served me well. Now, the second habit stack is my evening routine. It's a little simpler. But basically it starts off with a digital sunset. Basically, I turn my tech off around 8 p.m. And I actually leverage these features within my iPhone where I put it into shutdown mode, right? So it turns off notifications, turns off all the various things except for emergency calls. My phone shuts down between 8 p.m. and 9 a.m., right? So this is one that you can just set and forget, and it only allows certain apps to be on. I then, roughly around 8:30ish or so, I'm meditating for about 10 minutes. Start getting ready for bed, and once again, that's a whole little stack of habits from a self-care perspective. I then make my way into bed, and then I read. Reading is either on my Kindle or a physical book, and this is kind of an important one because I don't bring my phone upstairs. It's not sitting next to my bed, and because you can get this distractions. It's also the light off of some tech. Can actually mess with your melatonin, which actually interrupts your sleep. So that's why I use a Kindle or a physical book when I read at that time. And it's basically lights out, 9:45, 10 p.m. And then, I get my 7+ hours of sleep, and then I wake up 5 a.m. The next morning. Now, a pro tip here that what you might have caught on, this is not two separate habit stacks. Okay, my evening routine runs right through the evening, through my sleep, right into my morning routine. Now, because if you want to, this is the pro tip, if you want to perform at your best, your day starts the night before, right? Because if you don't get a good night of sleep, it can set you up, and basically it messes with, you don't have the energy, you don't have the motivation, you don't have the willpower to carry into your habit stack in the morning. I just kind of did there was the ones that I was talking about. There's some other minor things that I do in there as well. But there's about 40 habits that I've worked on that are all chained together in this one huge habit stack. So your homework. Make sure your keystone habit is dialed in. So what's your ultimate self-care habit? If you're not sure what the keystone habit is, there's 2 previous episodes in the Mindful Habits that I've talked about keystone habits. Go check those out. But one thing, make sure that it's dialed in, right? Because it's really kind of around that particular habit. And once again, my keystone habit is meditation. I started doing this a number of years ago, and it's really just kind of calmed my mind down, increases focus. So I do that every day, no matter what. Then start stacking a few other positive habits around your keystone habit, right? So what are you going to do right after that? Mine started with exercising and stretching. I was kind of working on that, and then I added making sure that the sleep was working well. Basically, you start working through this habit stack, and basically you repeat until you've installed 100 positive habits. If you have any questions that you want me to answer about this show, or perhaps cover off in a future episode, I'll put a link in the show notes where you can submit your questions. If you want to learn more about my Habit app, head over to thehabitlab.co. That's thehabitlab.co. I want to personally thank you for tuning in. I wish you well on your habits journey. Until next time.